It's also the National Institutes of Health, which last year proposed to amend their mission statement to exclude the word disability, saying it, quote, could be interpreted as perpetuating ableist beliefs that disabled people are flawed and need to be fixed. Let me take this moment to go on record. Folks, if I am ever struck blind or deaf or paralyzed, don't praise me, fix me. Small matters when activism merges with narcissism. Less about the cause and more about me. Look at me, watch me. And if you like the way I'm fighting injustice, remember to like and subscribe. When Adele lost weight, she was excoriated for betrayal. To who? She betrayed the
The outrage machine is in full swing again, but this time it's not targeting a villain. It's going after people who are actually trying to fix real problems. Somehow, in today's activist mindset, helping others only seems to count if it follows a very specific ideological script. Step outside that lane, and suddenly you become the target. Bill Maher cut straight through that contradiction, calling out the performative outrage for what it really is. As he breaks it down, the entire narrative starts to unravel and look more like theater than genuine concern. It raises a bigger question about whether solutions matter less than signaling. Because if real help is dismissed, what's actually being achieved? If you're into sharp, no-nonsense political commentary, stick around. This is just getting started.
Post reporter tweeted, what truly needs curing is society's view of disabled people, and BuzzFeed agreed Mr. Beast seems to regard disability as something that needs to be solved. Okay, disability is something that needs to be solved. And what truly needs curing is blindness. Here's how I know this. The newly sighted people are cheering, not booing, because Mr. Beast, whoever the that is, just cured them and you didn't do You know the expression
He doesn't ease into this. He goes straight at the contradiction and refuses to let it slide. In his view, parts of the far left have built a culture around being offended by anyone who tries to do real, tangible good outside their approved framework. They constantly talk about compassion and justice, yet the moment someone actually helps people, they start questioning motives instead of outcomes. The latest criticism is almost absurd, claiming that if someone films their charity work for YouTube, it somehow makes the help less genuine. But that argument falls apart quickly when you ask a simple question. Where does the money come from? It comes from the videos themselves. The content is not separate from the charity. It's what funds it. That's why this outrage feels less about principles and more about controlling who gets credit for doing good.
Don't get the woke. They love nothing more than being a victim, except when they really are one, and then they tell you, I am not, go f*** yourself. Get this. Last month, Mr. Beast, in another move, funded the construction of 100 wells across 5 countries in Africa to provide clean drinking water to 500,000 people. Good thing, right? No. Not good, bad. The founder of a charity called Face Africa called it kind of frustrating that overnight this person comes along who happens to be a white male figure with a huge platform, and all of a sudden he gets all of the attention. Yes, but you know what else is frustrating? Dying of...
This is where the situation becomes even more revealing. The modern activist left often positions itself as society's moral compass, yet it rarely seems satisfied when positive results come from someone outside its circle. Take the example of Mr. Beast funding wells across multiple African countries, bringing clean water to hundreds of thousands of people. Instead of recognizing the impact and asking how to expand it, critics focus on the attention he receives. That reaction raises an uncomfortable question. Shouldn't real solutions matter more than who delivers them? If someone is addressing the exact issues others claim to care about, the logical response would be support, not resentment. But when attention shifts, so does funding, influence, and ultimately control over the narrative. That is what makes the outrage feel less like genuine concern and more like a struggle over visibility and power.
How dare he come in and Bogart digging the wells? That's so white guy, always taking fresh water and shoving it down our throats. Oh, another thing this hole did in Africa was pay for the rebuilding of an African orphanage, which the director of the Hope and Homes for Children charity called it a classic case of white saviorism. So true. Ask any orphan to name the worst part of their life. Show-offs!
The more you sit with it, the worse the criticism starts to look. Big problems were never going to be solved by governments alone, and definitely not by people more focused on performance than actual progress. Real change has always come from individuals who step in and do something practical when systems fall short. That is the broader point being made here. When MrBeast funds clean water projects or rebuilds communities, it is not some symbolic gesture. It is a direct response to real human needs. Clean water is not political. Infrastructure is not an abstract idea. These are tangible improvements that change lives in measurable ways. And when results like that happen, the focus should be on the people being helped, not on whether the person behind it fits a certain ideological mold. But for some critics, optics seem to matter more than outcomes, and that reveals where their priorities truly lie.
How did we get to this weird place? Telling people who are actually out in the world making a positive difference, you're the problem. Yeah, quick question, who the are you? And this isn't only the media and the people on Twitter who exist to bitch, always finding something. He just did it for the clicks, or for the wrong reason, or you should have done more, or sooner, whatever. You signed X.
Maher's point lands because it highlights something almost painfully obvious. Who exactly made anyone the gatekeeper of what counts as acceptable altruism? Why should a good act be treated like a problem just because it doesn't come from the right source? It would almost be funny if it weren't so revealing. There's a pattern where the focus shifts away from outcomes and toward motives, especially when the person doing the good sits outside a preferred ideological lane. Instead of building or solving, the energy goes into questioning intent and framing it as suspect. And that pattern becomes predictable. If someone outside the circle does something positive, it's picked apart for hidden motives. If the same thing comes from within, it's praised without hesitation. That double standard is what's being called out. At a basic level, results should matter, and helping people doesn't suddenly lose value based on who delivers it.
National Institutes of Health, which last year proposed to amend their mission statement to exclude the word disability, saying it, quote, could be interpreted as perpetuating ableist beliefs that disabled people are flawed and need to be fixed. Let me take this moment to go on record. Folks, if I am ever struck blind or deaf or paralyzed, don't praise me. Fix me. Don't sit around talking about how much I'm just as good as you. Fix me. Do something. Use AI. Invent.
Maher then pivots to another example, and the argument becomes even more revealing. He challenges the idea that discussing treatment or improvement for a disability is somehow offensive, as if acknowledging a problem automatically diminishes a person. His response cuts through the noise with a simple point. If he were ever to lose his sight, hearing, or mobility, he would want solutions, not applause. That line resonates because it brings the focus back to reality. People living with disabilities don't benefit from empty validation. They benefit from meaningful support, accessibility, medical advances, opportunity, and tools that expand their independence. At the same time, it's worth recognizing that perspectives can differ. Some emphasize respect, identity, and avoiding language that frames people as broken, while others focus on practical solutions and improving quality of life. Those goals don't have to conflict. Real compassion can include both respecting people as they are and working to remove barriers that limit what they can do. The strongest approach is one that prioritizes outcomes, helping people live more freely and fully, without reducing them to either a problem to fix or a symbol to protect.
There's so much faking this time of year between the presents you don't want to buy and the presents you didn't want to get and the goodwill toward men that lasts until January 2nd. I just don't have room for, and disability is awesome. It's not awesome, and it's not a political affiliation. That's the problem. We turn everything into a political identity category. You're deaf, that's your identity. Don't mess up a good thing by hearing.
All of this points to a deeper issue beneath the surface. More and more, real human challenges are being turned into identities, labels, and performances instead of being treated as problems that need practical solutions. When everything becomes symbolic, the focus shifts away from actually helping people and toward maintaining the right narrative. Disability, for example, doesn't have to be framed only as an identity or only as a problem. It can be both something to respect and something people may want relief from. But when labels start to matter more than lived experiences, real needs like accessibility, treatment, and opportunity risk being pushed aside. In the end, meaningful progress comes from keeping people at the center, balancing respect with action, and focusing on solutions that genuinely improve lives rather than just shaping how those struggles are presented.
Adele lost weight. She was excoriated for betrayal. To who? She betrayed the unhealthy? The woke have even turned the homeless into a political identity group, as opposed to liberals, old school liberals, who just want to get them off the street, which now is seen as kind of judgy, like, don't disturb them in their natural habitat.
It reflects the same instinct that can turn serious causes into performances rather than pathways to real change. Instead of prioritizing reform, accountability, treatment, and direct solutions, the focus can shift toward appearances and judging how something looks. When someone delivers measurable results, the response isn't always to build on it. It can become about scrutinizing motives, tone, and optics. That's part of why some public outrage feels disconnected from outcomes. It centers more on interpretation than impact. The risk is that attention drifts away from solving the problem and toward debating the person trying to address it. And when that happens, real issues can remain unresolved while energy is spent on perception. A more effective approach keeps the emphasis on results, supporting what works, improving what doesn't, and making sure the people affected actually benefit.
Small matters when activism merges with narcissism. Less about the cause and more about me. Look at me. Watch me. And if you like the way I'm fighting injustice, remember to like and subscribe.
The first responsibility of anyone who claims to care about a cause should be straightforward: help people and improve real outcomes. That has to come first. Too often now, though, the order feels reversed. Branding, applause, and presentation take priority, while actual solutions get pushed aside. That's why this critique resonates. When activism becomes more about how it looks than what it achieves, it risks drifting into performance rather than impact. The people affected by these issues don't need perfectly framed messaging. They need tangible change in their daily lives. Real care shows up in results, in progress you can measure and feel. Focusing on outcomes doesn't mean ignoring values or intent, but it does mean keeping the end goal clear, making things better in practical, lasting ways.
Which, when I did the Ice Bucket Challenge back in 2014, I thought I was helping the cause of funding research to cure ALS. Wrong again! An op-ed in Time magazine said the Ice Bucket Challenge even seems to be suggesting that being cold, wet, and uncomfortable is preferable to fighting ALS. It was suggesting no such thing. What is wrong with this country that so many people can't be happy for anything?
In the end, the point goes beyond any single example. Public outrage can sometimes move so fast that genuinely useful or generous efforts get criticized before they're even understood. When that happens, the conversation shifts away from results and toward who gets to define what doing good should look like. That's why this argument resonates. It brings the focus back to basics. Real help matters, real solutions matter, and common sense shouldn't get lost in the noise. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.